What's going on, guys? It's Upside Down here, back with another video. So in the last video, we talked about just some general tips on IB, the layout of IB, and what to expect from IB. Now, instead I'll be going into some detail into that, so this is the first video where we do that. I thought we'd kick it off with IB Biology and giving you tips on IB Biology and just biology class in general, because biology is one of my favorite subjects, and I believe it's the one that I do the best in, and I'm most engaged in, I guess. So I have a bunch of tips that I can give you guys for being successful in IB. Now, note that I'm not done IB yet, but these are just some tips I learned from my first year of IB that helped me get through it. So all these tips will be not just for IB, but can be for your regular biology class as well, but some of these tips will be coordinated directly to IB. So let's start. The first tip I can give you guys is to do it directly with IB. If you're an IB student and you're taking IB biology, use the syllabus. The syllabus is basically what the IB gives every IB school and every IB student, and it has a bunch of understandings that you need to get out of biology class. So it'll tell you exactly what you need to know once you've covered that topic. So if you go into the syllabus book and you search up cell biology, and say cell biology is chapter 1, you want to know what you need to know specifically for cell biology. It'll be 1.3, just for example, it'll be 1.3, you need to know this. This is the understanding that you need to get out of it. This is the guidance that you'll be given, and this is what your outcomes should look like. Always use a syllabus because it'll tell you exactly what you need to know and how to get to know that. Now, if you're studying for a test that's coming up and your teacher is using IB-generated questions, be sure to look at the syllabus before writing the test. If you're writing the test on animal physiology, go to that chapter. I believe that's chapter 5. I'm not sure. But go to the syllabus, look under chapter 5, and check the understandings that you need to know once you've completed that chapter. This will help you be more directed while studying and actually know what to study for the test. The syllabus is a great tool for all IB students, and if you're not an IB, ask your teacher if they have a syllabus for you for the course that you're taking, because it'll help you a lot when you're studying for tests, because you'll be directed and know what to study. The second tip I can give you guys is take notes properly. Now, obviously, notes are a big thing when it comes to school and in IB more specifically. Notes are your gap between schoolwork and homework, the work that you do at home. Because when you go to school and you come back to home, the only thing you've actually taken is your memories, obviously, but also the notes that you've written down. Organize your notes so they're clear to you. They don't have to be clear to someone else, but make sure they're clear to you. So if you're doing cell biology, let's just use that again. Have your notes categorized so you know what subject it is. So cell biology, prokaryotic cells are in this section, then it's eukaryotic cells, then it's membrane systems or whatever. Have it really organized so that when you go back to study, it's easy for you to know what to study and to know what you learn and to know what to cover. So use a notebook. That's one of the most orthodox ways to do it. But if you're not comfortable using a notebook, your hands get tired, or you have really messy writing, what I like to do is take notes on my computer and laptop that I bring to school. Now, there's different apps that you can use or different programs you can use, but what I like to use the most is OneNote. OneNote is a Microsoft app. I don't know if they have it on MacBooks or whatever, but it's on general PCs. Just check if it's on your Mac. I'm pretty sure it is. But OneNote is basically a notebook that's on your computer. You can have different books, you can have different tabs. It's really clean to write on, it's easy to use, and the layout's really nice to use when you're taking notes and you want to be really fast when taking notes. It's really good for biology class because your teacher's going to be scrolling through those PowerPoints, writing stuff on the board, and your hands may get tired as you write. But if you're typing, and if you're a good typer, a fast typer, you can take those notes easily and categorize them and make them really neat. So the third tip I can give you guys is use your book really heavily. At the beginning of the year, your IB year, your teacher will give you an IB biology high-level book. Or not high-level because it's the same book, but they'll give you an IB biology book. Now, I really like this book because the book is organized really nicely. It has all your chapters, it has additional chapters at the end, all your basic chapters at the start, it has high-level chapters and in one section, and then it's really neatly organized with a lot of diagrams, and I really like this book. So study the book really religiously. If you're watching this video in summer and you're just going into IB, I've left a book down in the description below. It's an online PDF version, but if you don't have your book yet and you want to get a head start, which I really recommend doing, then you should check out the book below. It's an IB biology book straight from I guess IB, And yeah, so start reading that through, start making some notes, get ahead of your class, okay? If you can get ahead of your class, that's the best thing you can do. Now, my chemistry teacher actually told me that if your chemistry book or your biology book doesn't look like it's been through war at the end of the IB course, then you really haven't used it properly. So get some highlighters out. Ask your teacher first if you're allowed to write on your books, but get your highlighters out. Get sticky notes out. Just use that book. Really get all the information out of it, because that book is how your teachers are going to be writing their tests and how all the papers are papers use all that information in that book. So really use that book really heavily. Now, the next tip I can give you is when you're doing IB biology and you're studying for a test, don't just straight up memorize, because when you memorize, you only have that information for a short while. What's better is to actually understand what you're learning and understand why these processes happen. For example, if you're trying to learn the Krebs cycle, which is used in cellular respiration, which is a big topic in IB biology, don't just memorize the different steps to Krebs cycle. Memorize, or rather learn and understand what happens, what's causing this Krebs cycle to work. Why are these different enzymes placed where they are? Why is it even called a cycle? And understand what's happening rather than just memorizing step 1, this happens, step 2, this happens. Yeah, another example would be in the carbon cycle. Instead of just memorizing step 1 carbon cycle, step 2, step 3, understand like the effects of high carbon dioxide emissions and rising climate change, and it's linked to factory emissions in the carbon cycle, rather than simply memorizing that there's a step called factory emissions in the carbon cycle. This will help you carry that information longer, and when you learn something at the beginning of your year 1, you'll remember at the end of year 2 when you're writing your papers. So don't just memorize, actually understand what you're learning. This way you'll be more confident with the content and have a better general understanding of it, and like it more, rather than just having a bunch of information in your brain that you have no idea what it is. And one of the last tips I can give you, or the second last tip I can give you, is when you're listening in class to a lecture or a PowerPoint or practicing for a test and trying to memorize something or rather understand it, use diagrams always. So if you're doing like the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, or the phosphorus cycle, instead of writing out the steps, draw a picture of the steps if you're a visual learner. This can help you memorize the steps way easier, and you have a picture in your brain and it'll last longer. But if you don't like visual learning and you're better with words, go with words. But if you like visual, then go with the visual diagram. Especially for things just as photosynthesis that you'll be learning. For me personally, it's better to draw out different steps to photosynthesis for the light dependent and light independent reactions and their steps and their enzymes that are used. Draw that out and put in your notebook somewhere so you can refer back to it always, and this will just be more easier for you to understand what's happening. And the last tip I can give you guys is when you're learning something in class and you learn something in class and you've just to say it's cell biology, I guess, and you've learned that, you've listened to your teacher's lectures, you've taken notes, and test is still like a month away. Don't just stop there. Go home, and on your free time or on the bus ride home or on the walk home, plug in your headphones, get out your phone, and just listen to some videos about cell biology. There's hundreds of different 100 different videos on YouTube of teachers and students giving you tips on different subjects in IB biology, such as they'll give you tips on the animal physiology, and they'll take you through the syllabus. And just when you have your free time, go watch those, because as you're watching those, you'll get more interested, more engaged. There's different ways of teaching, and the YouTube videos have different ways of teaching you that there might be one that you really like. So as you learn more and you get more engaged, it'll stick in your brain more longer, and you'll have easier time in IB biology. Now, I said I said in like previous tips that don't memorize everything, but what I've noticed in IB biology is IB biology is a lot of memorizing. There's heaps and heaps and heaps of information that you won't have enough time to understand. So at some points, if you need to memorize something, it's okay to memorize. So there's a lot more that I can say about IB biology, but I'll save it for another video, because we could talk about how to properly do your IAs, or if you want to call them lab reports. I can share my tips that I've learned in my first year of IB on how to properly prepare for an IA or lab report, how to carry out a lab report, and how to finally type out a good polished lab report. And I hope that'll be helpful for you guys. that really concludes all the tips I can give for IB biology. If you take IB biology, good luck. It's my favorite subject. I'm sure you'll like it too. So if you have any comments or concerns, leave it in the comment sections below. If you have any other tips that you want to give people who are watching this, just leave it in the comment section below. If you disagree with some of my tips or don't think some of my tips are useful, just leave it in the comment section below and we can discuss about that too. So yeah. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Upside down out.